We're live. We called this podcast The Other Side. And um for me it's about like one understanding the journey of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. It's about real conversations that other people are afraid to have or to put out there. And I like it. I like
Yeah,
what
me
we're
too.
doing.
Yeah, me too. It's like self-therapy.
It is a little bit self-therapy.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, I don't know if you know this, but yesterday the FCC has declared that AI calls are illegal.
Yeah. You're talking about like phone calls.
Phone calls.
Yeah.
So all of that of like, because I wanted to use it, right? Appointment setting, sales calls, and there's a couple things that I look at and like, wow. So one, if you're dependent on one style of, let's say, source of traffic or source of sales, if you're dependent on one thing, and that one thing was this AI calls, because a lot of people were doing it and they've been doing it for probably like 6, 7 months, maybe even a
Mm-hmm.
year ago. I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now that whole side of your business, illegal.
How do you feel about that? Because I definitely have a feeling that might shock people. But how do you feel?
All right. So this is the thing. I looked into it a little bit and it wasn't, because when you think about FCC and the laws and all this other thing, like you immediately may take it personal. Oh man, they're trying to kill businesses. FCC is against businesses. Da 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 da. But really, what it is like, it's the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And under that law, it says like, hey, people can get, these AI calls can be used for fraud. These
Mm-hmm.
AI calls can be used for intimidation. They
Mm-hmm.
can they can be used for voter
Mm-hmm.
issues, like
Mm-hmm.
misinforming voter information. And after reading that piece of it, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm okay with it. Because at
Yeah.
first you're like, damn, you're killing
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. No, that's
How do
how I
you feel
feel,
about
man. I
Okay.
feel, yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's like in the marketing world, there's like the whole like white, gray, and black, right? Type of strategies. And it's always that's why when you found that unlimited way, I'm calling back to something we talked about in a previous episode. That way you found about getting leads, unlimited leads, and you told me, you told somebody else, and they was making money, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
you said, "Don't tell anybody about this," right?
Oh
That's a perfect example of when people get the power of just
yeah.
unlimited, right? Like, "Hey, I'm gonna create a crappy business. There's no value I really provide, but I found this way where I can get a ton of people in my funnel." That's like the danger behind like the marketing community is that they'll just abuse it.
Mhm.
And it does. The number one reason why I have no problem with them shutting it down is because I'm kind of like in this new, I've always thought like this, but now I'm like adamant about there's only one way to really stand out in the market. Granted, if you're clever and you can get leads a certain way, like more power to you. But it's like providing extreme amounts of value to the
Mm.
audience you're trying to capture is really the only way. And like businesses are still going to be able to do that. They're still going to be able to like succeed if they do that. And the ones that aren't really trying to provide value, and also to the fraudsters and all that, like I'm kind of glad this is like unlimited ammo in Grand Theft Auto. It's like
You're cheating.
you're
It's not right.
cheating. You're
It's not
cheating.
right. Don't
So
don't don't cheat. No, anyways, but yeah, I guess funny you say that because yesterday I had a meeting with a client. The client, automotive person, and he's like, "Oh, we just started. We took over a auto shop, and they had a bad name, and this and that. What can we do?" And uh, funny enough, he said that in the community that he's in, all of the other kind of like auto body, motor, whatever they're in, the vehicle stuff, he said they're kind of like behind the times. And like in my brain, I was like, oh my gosh, right? I told him, I said, you are sitting on a gold mine because what you can do is come out and start providing value. I said, maybe one of the biggest hurdles, especially for me when I want to get my car done, even the brakes, right? It's like,
Mhm.
man, these people are going to rip me off. They're
Yeah.
going to go in there, they're going to mess up my car and say that, like you hear all these horror stories, right? Or they're going to overcharge me. I don't even know what these things cost. And
Yeah.
so I said, if you can provide value and you can provide like just having a way to build trust with
Mhm.
them
Mhm.
will take you so much farther than everyone else because everyone has, no matter how good maybe auto body shop or any business in general, right? Like there's always these horror stories out there or like we'll say false beliefs,
Mhm.
misconceptions. And unfortunately, the auto body, auto shop stuff, like there's huge fear in that. And
Mhm.
I said, like, look, man, like, some content alone, will get you far as long as it's providing value. If it's like tips to when winter is coming or what to
Mhm.
do in
Mhm.
summer, like whatever that is, they hear it from you, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, if he's giving me that stuff, then he has to be trustworthy," right?
Exactly.
So,
Well, you know the misconception of business owners, marketers, or whatever. Not everyone's like this, but it's like if I tell them too much stuff, I'm giving away too much. Like, what would I offer them? And I just feel like a DIY person is always going to be a DIY person, and a person who wants you to do it for them or assist them. That person is always going to be like that, right? For the most part. So like, I just feel like when you put out information and you're telling people like, "Hey, here's 10 ways to make your website better," it's like there's gonna be a group of people who are gonna take your information and they're gonna do it themselves. And that's
yeah,
okay. They always were gonna do that. They never were gonna pay you. But there's gonna
never.
be people that's gonna be like, oh, now that I know what's involved to make my website better, I know I can't do it. And it's like, I'm gonna pay this person to do it because they gave me the information. Now I trust that they know how to do it. So I just feel like, give away the whole kit and caboodle, to a certain extent, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, or even just other ways like solving smaller problems and you want to charge for the bigger problems, right? Like just solve smaller problems for them that really aren't like, hey, we do oil changes and we love to do oil changes, but if you want to do your own oil, here's a tip. And it's like, oh, cool. And then it's like what people are gonna be like, I'm not changing my oil.
Wait, I gotta go buy a pan. I gotta get underneath the car. I gotta get dirty. I'm probably gonna spill oil everywhere. Like
You
that.
can
I do
say
my own. Yeah,
Yeah. Imagine doing like a video, like a commercial, like, "Hey, we like an oil company, right? This is to be a perfect commercial, right? Like Lube Stop or one of these. They say, "Hey, against our better judgment, we're actually going to teach you how to change your own oil." And each step is like they make it look hard, right? So it's
a
like oil
disaster.
splashing in the face. And this step is important because you don't want the car to drop on you.
Right.
So you go through every step, and then people are like, "Man, I'm not changing my own oil." like, but the whole point of the commercial is to be funny. Like, look, we make it easy and safe because we have the right stuff to do it, but we're going to teach you how to do it yourself. And that would be a funny commercial because number one is it is educating people on like, oh, that's what they're doing they're doing all these different things under there. Oh, that's the reason why they're down in the pit and they go down in the pit because I have to get on they don't want a car to drop on them. So I don't know. I just thought that was just like a little dumb little thing
No,
that popped in my head.
no, I think that's good. For me, like I work with so many different niches or so many different categories for
Yeah.
businesses, and you will attract people like yourself, right? If
Mhm.
you want to say that, and so sometimes I gotta figure out people's personalities
Mhm.
and how I want them to like come across, and like if it's a video ad or something,
Mhm.
right? And from what you're saying, right? So if it's Valvoline or Quick Stop, whatever one of those things, I don't even know what
Yeah.
they're called, right? But um, when you talk about branding and tone,
Mhm.
right? So I think of Chick-fil-A right off the rip, and there's probably better examples, but Chick-fil-A uses the cow as a
Oh, yeah,
joke,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He's like,
yeah. Yep.
"Eat more chicken," and it's a
Yeah,
cow. It's like, okay, that's funny, right?
and
That's
chicken's,
cute.
like, spelt wrong.
Yeah, chicken
That's
stuff.
yeah.
So that has a tone to it,
Yeah,
right?
it
Where
does. Yeah,
there's other people out there that are more like dry and
yeah,
but it's that's who you're gonna track. So
yeah.
using that, I personally love humor
Yeah, me
or like
too.
being able to use that. So I love your analogy, but then I would ask myself, does that fit in the tone of
Oh,
Valvoline
yeah,
or
for
whoever
sure.
does it?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Yeah, we have to
and
fit
if
the tone, yeah.
yeah, if they don't fit that tone, then it's like that didn't work. But yeah, I think this whole thing with AI and the FCC, they're they might start cracking down on other stuff too, right?
Man, Imma tell you right now, I think AI Imma say something, AI is dangerous,
Sure.
but I love it, like, but I can see the danger behind it. Like, I can
Yeah.
see, you know, I wouldn't want it to be shut down though, but I just can see that there has to be some, especially just in the impersonation type thing. Like, you've
Yep.
used 11 Labs before.
Yep.
It's like, man, I clone my voice. They even have a better version. Did you do the better version, which takes like a couple weeks?
No, it's probably
Yeah,
like smooth.
yeah, I haven't done it yet, but the instant version is pretty decent.
Well, for people who don't know what 11 Labs is, what is 11 Labs?
So it's an AI voice software. So you can use they have pre-designed voices already. So text to voice, right? Um so which I have a our Giant Maker podcast is we use 11 Labs. So we created a character named Jima, a British lady, and she does all our podcasts. But we write a script, we drop it in, and it says it, and then we download the MP3. But I originally used my own voice. The whole point of it, I was going to do my own voice. So you have to like talk, you have to give it like 20 minutes or something of you talking, and then it makes an instant clone of your voice that you can do text to speech, but it just doesn't have all the personality. It just doesn't, it sounds makes you sound like a drier version of yourself. It
Mm.
sounds like you, but it doesn't have all the emotions in it.
Oh,
But they
yeah.
have a version that you send like they do more processing on it, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks turnaround time. Now I don't know what they're doing, but and it's supposed to be like a almost like the identical version of yourself.
Wow.
But the point of it, as I'm saying, is like you could do it with other people. You can like impersonate anybody's voice, and that's where the whole scamming stuff comes in, right? Or stuff like that. Um, so that's why I mean where I see things like that where it's dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's even things like most people are I think most people are gonna get offended. You tell me what you think about this. I think most people are NPCs in our world.
True.
And this is not and I think we're all NPCs at times, right? But most people are, to me, just kind of go with the flow of society, right? So they kind of believe generally what everyone else believes because they heard it from enough people. Um, and what we know about cults and religions and things like that, it's easy to craft some very powerful messaging, put people through some sort of nurture sequence, and really literally indoctrinate somebody.
Mm.
And people were doing this without AI. Imagine what you could do with AI.
Oh, I know. Well, listen, I hit you the other day and I was like, "Hey, look, there's this I'm having this pool of morals."
Yeah.
It's like and what I remember was uh Russell Brunson saying one time, he's I'm gonna teach you this stuff
Yeah.
and it could be used for good or it could be used for evil.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm like,
true.
who would want to use this for evil?
Yeah.
But then understanding your NLP stuff, right?
Yeah.
Non-language program, whatever
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
means, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's almost hypnotizing using
Yeah.
certain type of specific words in a certain format that pushes people to act a certain way. That stuff is scary.
Yeah.
So NPC, if you know what NPC is, one, I wouldn't have known what you were saying only because I don't know. That's a gamer term, right?
Yeah,
So
non-player character.
non-player character. So for me, I wouldn't have known. But I do know it because my son,
Yeah,
he plays whatever games. He's like, Dad, these NPCs are getting in my way. I'm like, who's an NPC? I thought it was a police person. I'm like,
yeah,
get him out the way,
yeah.
run. And yeah, but now when we drive, sometimes I make that joke. I'm like, this NPC, he's
Yeah,
slow. Get him
it's
out the
it's
way.
so funny because it's like the game that's the best example of like an NPC that people that are like not video game, like they don't play video games could really understand the analogy is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
Because you're a player who knows that you're in a world and you're controlling your player to do what you want, right?
yeah,
Every other character is on a script and they're just following the script that they're programmed to do. So it's like goes back to that whole matrix thing, right? Where it's like you want to get out of the matrix. Well, we're all in some sort of version of a matrix all the time. Like it's impossible to be so aware of everything, even the most aware people, right? But there are people who literally like they just kind of take what's given to them and what, like, for example, and it's okay, but like I'm an NPC when it comes to when it comes to like I used to be when it comes to like music, right? So when I was younger, I was so into music. I was in the music industry, all this type of stuff. I won't tell the story all over again, right? And I got so burnt out by being so aware of the music industry that I went through this long phase of whatever they tell me is hot, I'm gonna listen to. Whatever the new hits are, I'm just gonna enjoy what they give me. And it's
mm,
literally called programming. Like the radio is like it's a program director. He programs what music is hot and what music gets played. So the analogy I would say is like, well, some people are like, hey man, I'm discovering all these underground artists. There's a whole new world out here, man. Break out the matrix of music and go find all these talented people. You're just giving what they're feeding you. And for me, I knew that, but it was good to just tell me what I need to like because I'm just so burnt out from this whole music thing anyway. Right. Now I'm even worse where I only listen to music from the 90s.
I know.
I don't even listen. I shut even that off. Like I don't even listen to new music. Like I literally 90s, early 2000s. That's it. So I don't know. We just got off on a tangent, but
No, that's okay because I've heard a couple things. So I don't know how this is going to relate to business or
yeah,
marketing. Maybe it has to do with habits. I have no idea.
yeah,
But I heard that when like you said, like they want us to know that this specific song is supposed to be good.
yeah,
What the radio station would do was play like a super hot song, right? So it was like super good. You would listen to it. You're into it because you're like that because you know the song in general. You're staying on, and then they would put another song in the middle, like and maybe this is the new song, and then after the new song, they would put another old song that you would know, and they would like mix it like that. Does that
bro.
make
I didn't
sense?
even know that, dude. That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
I didn't
there
even know
is.
that. That sounds diabolical.
Yes, they were doing that. Like they were doing that to introduce new songs that like,
Yeah,
hey, this is a song that we want to promote, so we have to mix it
that's
in with songs
smart.
that people know because they're not going to change the channel. And if they know another hot song is coming behind it, then they're still not going to change the
Yeah,
channel because they're listening to the new song now.
bro.
It all makes sense.
It all makes sense, man. That is marketing. That's that whole hacking the human, right? Because you understand human behavior. You know what? I used to do something similar when I used to DJ. Um, it's so funny. It's all connected. You did connect it to business. When
Okay.
I used to DJ, I used to do a lot of the clubs on West Six. Anybody from Cleveland knows what West Six is.
Yep.
If you don't know what West Six is, it's just the place where it's the most popular, like they call them like top 40 clubs. Like the DJs have to play the hits.
It's a
Like
whole street of
yeah,
bars and
like
clubs. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
you're not playing weird stuff. You're not. It's not that. It's you're the DJ is playing radio dance music basically, right? So I used to DJ. I'm at the one spot. I'm not gonna say the spot, but I used to DJ there. I DJ there like a couple times, right? And there was like this rule, right? That top 40. Okay. So what I used to do, because I'm rebellious and I was a music connoisseur, I would play new music that people have never heard from other countries or just new remixes and stuff like that, right? And the way I would do it is I would play the top 40, song, right? And then I would play another top 40 song, and then I would play like 30 seconds of the
Ooh,
new
yeah.
stuff I wanted to introduce, but I would just play it as like a transition to another top 40 song. And I would just repeat that. So two, a little intro. I mean, like a little 30 seconds of something new. You know, they're like, oh, it's like they can't even realize there's something new. It feels good. And then I would go into a top 40 and mix them all together. And I got away with it so much, but all the other DJs that like at the time that were like in the city, they, you know, we all would go support each other, stuff like that. They were like, bro, I can't believe you play some bloody beetroots. How'd you get away with that? You play like, I'm like, that's it is because they all the DJs want to play those type of music, but you can't. So it's
Yeah.
just funny you said that because it's like I had to like sneak it in, and I'm like watching people's reactions. I'm like, okay, cool, they're not really noticing, and it's like that. I think that's just what marketing and business is, right? It's like you're trying to like anticipate how people are going to react and create things to either hack them or I don't know. It's just like
It's
it's just
almost well, I've told 2 people this today, 2 prospects, because
yeah,
they're like, "Yo, a lot of time we're going after ads, right? It's going after sales or leads or whatever." And I said, sometimes you just have to build awareness, right? Like
yeah,
they it's subliminal
yeah,
almost in a sense, right? Like we're targeting these people, and when you approach them after they saw you somewhere, they're gonna be like, "Man, I've heard this before.
yeah, yeah,
Cool of you somehow." And it's like that's what you're doing, right? You're bringing in what they know, and then like subliminally hitting them with some new stuff, and then. But funny enough, you were doing the same thing the radio stations were doing.
I
You
just
know,
didn't know. I just like I knew what I was trying to do. I was trying to be slick, but I
yeah,
didn't know that it was like a strategy that was already being done. Maybe
yeah.
I intuitively knew it because it was being done to me. But
Look, that's how smart you
there's
are.
something there's something you told me when you said about awareness or whatever, but there's something you showed me this pyramid thing. I actually
Mm,
was on a call yesterday morning and explained it to this guy, and he was like he got an epiphany. He's like, oh my gosh, I see what you're saying now. But it's what you said
mhm.
about awareness. And I figured out a way to explain it to like leads so they or like prospects when I explain it to people so they're to make it more simple for them to understand. So,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to explain the pyramid and then I'm going to go into what I say. So you were
Go ahead.
basically you showed me this you were on an iPad like we were like at we were having a meeting. I think we were at some hotel in Columbus, right? And you drew me this picture and it was like the top 3% of the pyramid, right? The tippity top of the pyramid is like 3 to 5%. Those are the people who are like ready to buy.
Yep.
They're ready. They're looking for the restaurant to go to today. They're looking for that new shirt. They're ready. Like they see the ad, click in, I'm doing it. Right. But that's only 3 to 5%, give or take a couple more percentage points, right? Maybe even different depending on the industry. The whole point of it is a very small amount of people, right? Then you have this other group below where you kind of have to nurture them a little bit. You kind of have to give them some information or whatever. And then there's a group below that's even going to cost you more money to convert them, right? My point is that whole awareness piece where like you're like everyone wants to go for the sale, they want to close the deal right away, but like there's that aspect of like, okay, well, people they you probably could close them, but they just need a little bit more information, right? So this is what I say to people. I say, think of some of the stuff, your favorite stuff that you like now. Your think about your favorite restaurant, your favorite clothing brand, your whatever. Did you did the first time you drove past a restaurant, you just pulled into the parking lot and just went inside?
No.
Or did you maybe a friend told you about it? You got a recommendation, but you still didn't go. Then you saw maybe a TikTok or a video or whatever, or maybe you drive past it every day. And then somebody else brought it up. You're like, you know what? People keep talking about this place. I'm gonna go to it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, that is kind of how
That
I
happens.
find out about stuff.
Yeah.
Multiple times, multiple touches. And then that epiphany in people's brain, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right." So it's like, why are you running? Why are you like? Why are you trying to go for that small percentage of people who are, you know what I'm saying? Your whole business is, and I had to explain this to a client the other day because they keep trying to send people to their offer, and I was like, man, I ain't even gonna lie, your offer really ain't in the context of what else is out here. Your offer is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna see the value in the other stuff you do because they're gonna see the price. So I don't know, just a little
No,
real.
no, that's good. I mean, if you look Um, so two things: the top of the 3 to 5%, everybody's going after that piece of it, anyways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not even getting the 3 to 5%. It's like a percentage of a percentage of a percentage because everybody attacks that market because
Yeah.
it's the closest to the money. Um, yeah, that piece is strong on it. I think the greatest thing that you do with your analogies is because there's analogies that you can come up with that people like, oh, okay, I get it. But when you make it real for them in a sense of, hey, remember the restaurants you try that are new? What does it take for you to get there? Right? You don't just stop in. No, you're doing this other thing, and then you're going on Yelp and you're looking to see if they got good reviews, and then you're trying to see pictures and your friends recommend it. Whatever you're saying, right? All of that makes sense. And it's like, yeah, because that's exactly how most people, you know, find new restaurants. They
Yeah.
just don't go. Like they need a
Do
little
you
bit
want
of
to
a
know my
push.
formula for analogies?
Please tell me because I love your analogies.
So it does take practice to come up with it on the spot, and sometimes I've come up with some duds on the spot. So let's just be clear. I've come up with some horrible analogies, but it's a mixture of the Socratic method, which I'll explain in a second for those who don't know what that is. It's um also like making it relatable, right? So like just like putting like the whole perception, like getting like jumping into somebody's shoes and then basically almost acting like as if if you're them so they can
Mm,
actually perceive the information like it's like, oh, this is not no weird thing. And then the whole concept of triggering an epiphany, right? So those are like the three elements, right? Like relatability, triggering an epiphany, and the Socratic method. Socratic method is so this is like that the movie Inception, right? Anybody's ever seen the movie Inception? It's an amazing movie. Here's a part I'm talking about where they have to make the guy think the idea is his,
yeah.
right? Or it won't stick, right? So the Socratic method is great because you're asking questions. It's a curiosity thing. So, like if somebody's Republican, somebody's Democrat, and they're like, "Hey, man, Trump is this or Biden's this," you're like, "Oh, that's okay. So, what makes Biden this and what makes Trump that?" I'm just curious. They have to actually say the words now. They usually believe something in their mind. When they have to say the words, it falls apart. But
Mm,
they made it fall apart. So they're like, wait, maybe I don't think that. So if you could create an analogy, and that's where the epiphany triggers. So if you can create an analogy that puts them in that space, people don't feel attacked, right? Because it's like a common thing instead of you attacking like what they believe. It's just like you just throw them in this common thing. They're like, oh, you're right, because it falls apart once I put myself in that situation. So it's just
mm,
really like again, a Socratic method. So it's what like analogy is like makes you think. It's relatability, and then it's just like I want to trigger an epiphany. Like that's my goal. And that comes from the Russell Brunson stuff that I love. The term you told me, I didn't even get it from him. You actually told me it's like the whole epiphany bridge, right? Like you're walking people across this thing, and every epiphany that triggers is closer to them being able to perceive the value of whatever you do, right?
yeah.
And so I just that's why I use analogies because it works just in real life. And so
Hmm.
here's a diabolical thing, and I'm gonna shut up because we're talking about AI. Do you know that I have a GPT I created? I created an actual GPT. Like I know you can do that, right?
Yeah. I don't know
Okay.
how to. I tried to do it, but it's like I don't got time for this.
Okay, here I feel you. But I've probably created like 20 GPTs. I have one that just creates analogies based off my thing.
Oh, I
And I
love it.
tell it what I want it to
You gonna
do.
have to show me that.
Yeah, listen, do you pay the $20 a month?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I'll just share it with you. You just use it.
Love
You
it.
just listen. I'm sharing with. I'm gonna give you access to it. You just use it. It literally does what that framework I said. It does it. You just say, "Hey, I'm trying to explain this," and it'll come up with different relatable analogies. And
Mm,
it's bro, it's it's
AI.
it's that's what I'm saying. So,
I
but
hear
imagine
it.
imagine if we were
Diabolical.
trying to start a cult. Like imagine like coming to seminars, I'm hitting with people with all these analogies, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I do hate my wife."
I do hate my I was happy for 50
It's like,
years, but who is she? Screw
I
her. She don't want to take out the trash. No.
know.
Well, I want to double back on the NPC thing real quick
All right.
because
Okay.
as you taught, we're talking about it. Something came to mind when you say NPCs are just out in this world, not doing anything, kind of like on autopilot, given the
Hmm.
script that they are. And you said we're all NPCs in some way. And I think about the time when, and everybody this happened to, you're driving, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, how'd I get home?
Hmm.
How'd I get here? Like you're on autopilot.
Hmm.
Or like it happens to me at night sometimes. I'm like, wait, did I brush my teeth? Like, and then
Yep.
I'll go touch my toothbrush, it's wet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I brushed my teeth. I have no idea. I just brushed my
Yep.
teeth. Whatever that is, that's crazy. But that's like
Yeah.
I think about that with the NPC.
No, that happens to me all the time, actually.
Yeah, it happened to me the other day when I was taking my medicine. I'm like, take my medicine.
You
Is
know,
that
it's a scary feeling because you don't feel like you were there.
yes. Yes.
But this is what I was told, and it makes sense. If you picture an iceberg, there's like, just say there's 10% above the ocean and there's like 90% below the ocean. And your subconscious is actually who you are, right? And your conscious mind is you observing who you are. So
Mm,
when you go into autopilot, you're still fully Michael Gabriel with all your intelligence. You're
yeah.
just but your conscious mind is not watching you. So, but we live through the conscious mind. It's the reason why you make a New Year's resolution and it doesn't happen. It's because your conscious Michael Gabriel is saying, I'm not picking on you. I'm just because
Yeah.
you actually be doing your New Year's resolutions. But, let's just pick on me. The Demetrius conscious mind said that I wanted to do this, but my subconscious never agreed to that. So when
Mm,
I go through life, I never do it because you're really your subconscious, right?
mm.
So it's weird because you didn't observe yourself brushing your teeth, or you didn't observe yourself driving home, but you actually did it. And if a video was on you, you would be acting like you. You just didn't watch yourself,
How
which
crazy
is
is
it's
that?
weird. It's like it's weird, but that's how it is. And
Yeah, that is
that's why you have star athletes that are that in it's called like their reflex. Their reflex is the right thing, is to shoot the right way because they practice a lot. And
mhm.
that's the only way you change your subconscious is by repetition, right? On whatever it is for a person.
Yeah, well, let me say this too,
Yeah.
on what you're saying, and tell me how it applies. So we had a conversation earlier this week, and I actually
Mhm.
had the conversation twice with someone, and it was like, are you interested in these goals, or are
Yeah.
you committed to these goals?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the biggest difference between the two is the interest. If you're interested, it's kind of like you take the easy route, like you don't go wholehearted. But if you're committed, it was like you have to become a new person. You have to take
Mhm.
on almost a new identity.
Yes.
And it's the hard part of that. And that gets you because the person you are today is not able to achieve those goals because you would have already achieved them. So you have to become
Exactly.
something else to achieve those higher goals.
Yeah.
And you're saying your subconscious has to commit
Yes.
to become somebody else
Yeah.
to allow you to hit the goals.
Yeah,
Got
because
it.
the consciousness is weird, right? Consciousness, it's like I'm in the moment right now, and everything I'm saying, a much smarter person said this. So this is not me as an expert. This is me as just regurgitating a road that I went down, mainly because I was just like trying to change who I was. And my dad, who played in the NFL, said this. He says to me all the time, even when he said, the game is for reacting and practice is for thinking. I got it in a sports context, right? It's like in the game, you're not thinking about stuff. You just reacted. It got to be the right reaction, but it's instantaneous. But the game, I mean, in the practices for thinking, but in sports, you practice more than you have a game, right? So from what you're saying is, if you're interested in something, then you go pick up basketball. right? You just go, hey, I'm gonna go to the rec, I'm gonna play some games, have fun, right? Because I'm interested. I'm not trying to be a professional. But when you're
Mm,
when you want to be a professional athlete, you have to practice way more than you actually play the games that matter. But what ends up happening is you change your subconscious. You
mm.
become that new person, and it's over time, it's repetition, it's thinking about it all the time,
It's even
all that
doing
type of
different
stuff.
drills, if you're talking about drills, right? Because if you wanna
Exactly.
be you're not just going to shoot, you're, like, going in between the ladders, and you're, like, doing, what they call when they, like I felt like there was something like kill something, where it's like you
Oh, like
run
suicides.
suicides. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're then doing suicide, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you're doing something totally different than what and I guess the easy route, if you take that piece of it, you're saying the easy route is "Hey, I'm just gonna go shoot the ball around with some friends at the
yeah.
park."
It's like which is true. I mean, so that it is connected to what you said, and you did tell me that we did talk about that the other day. And then the last little piece I'll just say is like it's like the auto correction on your phone when you're typing, and then like you spell something wrong, and it just auto corrects it to something. Like that's kind of like what happened. That's why some people are so successful is that as they're going through life, the corrections that they're making in their life are just always just the correct way, right? And we've seen this on you've probably seen this when you're talking to on a sales call with a client or a lead or prospect, and they hit you with questions, and in real time you're saying the right things. And
Oh, yeah.
it's not that you're BSing. It's just that you've been in this so long,
You're
you just know it. It's who you
yeah.
are. It's a part of your subconscious. So I just think that it's that whole, but the weird part is just the whole like you're not watching yourself. So when you don't watch yourself, you forgot that you did it. And that's the weird thing to me about it. It's just like an out of body experience. Like it's like, what was I doing? And a lot of times what you're doing is daydreaming. You've hijacked your conscious mind to think about something else. But Michael Gabriel knows how to drive a car and knows how to get home. So
Mhm.
Michael Gabriel, he said, okay, fine. You want to go over there and dream about something or think about what you're about to do tomorrow? Okay, cool. I'm gonna get you home. You're just not watching yourself get home. It's
Yeah.
weird, bro. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, I know. That's why you're the NPC or whatever
But
you're
I do
doing
do
out
some
there.
weird stuff though. So when I'm in a daydream or I'm like kind of like there but not there, I'll like start breathing heavy. Like I like breathe through my mouth, and like there's been times where I've been like actually we did a video project, me and you, and I was behind the camera and I was on an interview. I mean, we had two cameras set up and I was behind one camera and we were interviewing somebody. You were actually interviewing them, and I was like in the zone. So then I started like breathing all heavy. So when I was looking at the footage, all you
You
can
doing
hear is they were mic'd up, so we weren't going to use the camera audio anyway. But I was like, man, why did I do that? It's just like it's like it's like so I'm not like the best version of myself when I go on autopilot. Like I'm still like a little bit like more simple, like
You
a
know
dumbed
what that
down
reminds me of?
version.
That reminds me of Click. If you've seen the movie Click, when he
Yeah, with Adam
fast
Sandler.
forwards. Yeah, he
Yeah.
fast but then when he looks at himself, he was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
because
That's
he was
exactly.
moving in slow motion, and everybody was sped up, and it's like, "Yeah,
Oh my
you would be
god.
at the dinner
Yeah,
table, and you would be drooling, and it looked like you're drunk."
yeah,
And really, you just fast forward to dinner.
yeah. Oh man.
Well, I think, maybe another 10 more minutes, and maybe this can be a staple of what we do because we talk about the other side, right?
Yeah,
And we talk about all the good things. And I guess it doesn't even matter what it is. Maybe we take these last few minutes and get real. And I
yeah.
will tell you, I was triggered just now. Well, I was triggered before our call.
What happened?
So my son, right, my oldest son's in Columbus, and we're going down there. I'm taking my other son to take him. I'm taking my other son because he has a girlfriend that's winter formal or whatever is going on. And I got the whole situation is my younger son is doing stuff he ain't supposed to be doing,
Hmm.
and he was trying to use my older son as a cop out, right? Like I'll just
Mm,
go live with Zay.
mhm.
I was like, man, you 15, you ain't going, you ain't
Yeah,
going nowhere.
yeah.
And it was only because he was getting into trouble. He's doing
Mhm.
things So somehow my oldest son hopped in here, and I'm gonna use the word Captain Save a Hoe, but like
Yeah.
he was like wanted to hop in. But at first he said, I was like, look, your brother thinks he can just run away to your house and it's
Yeah.
gonna be glitz and glam.
Yeah.
He's like, he ain't coming here. And I laughed. I was like, I know. He said you told him he could leave at any point. So like, I wanted to let you know that like it can't go down like that.
Yeah.
Especially, it's not even under the right circumstances. The kid's
Yeah.
messing up, and he's just looking for an escape.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So then my youngest son, calls the oldest son. Is like, "Oh, dad's being mean," or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And then my older son called me a dick. And, like, I didn't like that, and he
Yeah.
said it to my face, or not
What
to
he
my
say?
face, he
Wait,
said
what
it
he say?
over my phone. He's like, "You're being a dick," or "You're a dick," or
Oh,
something, and I
yeah.
was like, "Listen, little boy, I don't let people in the street call me a dick, how am I gonna let you call me a dick?
Yeah,
And this is all
yeah.
because your little brother is being a dick,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So, I haven't talked to him since then. I said about was and at that point when we were talking, now I'm joking about it, but I was
yeah,
kinda raging out.
yeah,
Yelling like, "Who you calling a dick? Come here. I'll come down there and whoop your ass. You wanna
yeah,
call me a dick to my face."
yeah,
I don't even like to say those things, but
yeah,
so I'm going to Columbus, and I called him yesterday, and he didn't pick up, and I didn't really expect him to. And I definitely should let it go because
mhm,
I'm the dad.
yeah,
But at the same, there's a piece of me that says, all right, if the even the 2 little ones, right? Like, they saw the whole thing transpire, and they're
mhm,
like, there has to be a form of respect, and that's what it was for me. It was like, "Man,
yeah,
you gotta respect me, dude. You
yeah,
can't be just out here
yeah,
wilding out because that's just not how the world works." It
yeah,
doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird.
yeah,
Anyways, so, he texted me right before our meeting, and I was like, "Alright, the other side. We're gonna talk about this
yeah,
shit." Right?
yeah,
Because right now he's like, "Alright, if you want me to give you your mail, I can meet you around 5 or 6."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Alright." And it's not that I just we haven't settled it for
yeah,
months. So,
yeah,
I don't know how I feel right this second, but it was just I felt triggered.
yeah. No, listen,
So
I understand that. I have 2 daughters, so it's different, but I did grow up like, I have 2 younger brothers, so we did grow up in a house where it was all boys, um, and my dad demanded respect, and we would sometimes get out of pocket, and it would get aggressive.
yeah.
So so I understand that, um, but going back to Inception, right?
Mm,
Like, this is not advice, this is just we're having a conversation. Um, it's like sometimes it has to be their idea, right? I went through this with my kids, right? Because I realized I can't monitor them on the internet. It's impossible now. And I want them to be able to get access to all these different cool things. And it's like this weird thing where it's like, okay, well, you limit their access, and then they're just gonna be like those kids that like don't understand. Like once they get freedom, they go buck wild because it's like, oh, new! I never had this before. So I wanted my kids to experience like everything, even like there's this people might think this is crazy, but like I love going to BW3s, right? And my daughters, I would get beer, like big tall boy, like, hey, that beer smells good. They kept saying that. It smells so good, right? Because of the hops and stuff. I said, why don't
yeah.
you taste it? They're like, for real? This is when they were like little. Like they were like 10 and like they're like 3 years apart, right? So 10 and 13. I'm like, taste it. Here. They're like, "You sure?" They're looking around. They're all nervous. Like, "Taste it." They taste it like, "Oh, how do you drink? Oh,
Yeah.
how do you drink this?"
So
Curious.
nasty.
Okay, so now they made their own mind. Like, "Hey, I don't think I want to drink." Like, it's not even like my dad told me not to drink. It's like I think I don't want to.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, it's almost like kind of like do the opposite. Like be like. I know this is again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying in
Yeah.
this hypothetical scenario, it's like, hey, oldest son, you know what? We got off on the wrong foot. I see why you're trying to, help your brother or whatever. You heard us out, and I love that you guys are so loyal. That means I did something right. But one thing that does affect me is when you disrespect me. So I get it. Just want to let you know I understand. You don't even got to respond back to this. I just want to let you know I love you, whatever. Bam. It's like, so now in his own mind is going to either trigger where he's going to be like, you know what? I do got to respect my dad. Right. Because I think the natural reaction, especially with boys, is to like rebel. So just let them rebel. Like, okay, I'm letting you rebel, right? Like almost like jujitsu, right? Where it's like not jujitsu, I think it's Aikido. This is the old Steven Seagal thing. If you ever watch any old Steven Seagal movie, he used their energy against them. So they would come
Yep.
at him and he would like take their arm and just throw them that way, right? He
Yep.
didn't strike them. He just said, okay, you coming at me, I'm just gonna push you that way, right? Sometimes you gotta do that with kids. Okay, middle son, you want to go run away? Go run away. Because guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna suck. in
That's what I
his
keep
own,
telling them.
it is
I said,
in his
I,
own mind, it's gonna be like, Dad, that actually does suck. And
I,
he'll
I said, your brother's gonna be worse than me. He gonna make you pay rent.
yeah,
He gonna make you like clean your dishes. He
yeah,
gonna like he gonna be bad. I mean, not that my kids go through chores, but like it's a pain in the ass. And
yeah,
funny enough, Xavier came here around Christmas time, and he's like, "Yeah, there's some issues with the roommates." I'm saying, "What's wrong with them?" He's like, "Oh, they're not cleaning up after themselves." I said, "Funny you say that,
yeah.
right? Because y'all kids never cleaned up after yourselves at home."
They
So,
listen, they have epiphanies all over the place, right?
epiphanies all over.
So like sometimes it's just hard to like I give I throw my daughter in the mix. So my oldest daughter wanted to watch Game of Thrones so bad, right? Now I don't watch Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is violent. There's all types of crazy nudity and stuff like that, but she would not let it go. Okay. Now she's 17. So I was like, Brooklyn, I don't think you're gonna want to watch Game of Thrones because you don't like violent stuff. She's like, Dad, I want to watch it. I finally let her watch it. She watched one episode, never watched it again, never brought it up again, never did nothing else with it. She don't care about Game of Thrones at all. And it's like some parents would just be like, why would you let your kid watch Game of Thrones? The kids be sneaking, man.
And they would
Somebody
watch it anyway.
listen, somebody said strict parents create sneaky kids. It's
Mm.
true. And I don't want my kids having to sneak. I want to be involved in their stuff. I want them to, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to know what they're doing. It's like, so yeah, but just hey, release the doves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Let them go.
I
Let,
hear you
let them do
so
their
hard.
thing. I know it is hard. It is.
Luckily, like Xavier's super respectful. Like I've seen it where
Yeah.
he's not wilding out. But I heard
Yeah.
this thing years ago where the guy said, "Look, my kid, if I ain't whooping my kid's ass and getting them disciplined, it's gonna be the police whooping their
Yeah.
ass."
Yeah.
So, like, he's older now, so that there is this part where I do let it go, but I don't know, man. You're gonna
It's
get your
hard.
little brothers in trouble because they gonna do that.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna be in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna come out of pocket in front of me, thinking that
Yeah.
their older brother got away with it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We'll see. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows?
This stuff typically works out. Like, look at you. Sometimes we
Yes,
forget what we went through as people and who we became. I was
yes,
so
absolutely.
it's hard though. So I'm not even saying it like obviously it's not it's your situation, so I can say stuff that's like, but like my kids, I went off on them the other day. My my oldest kid, because I don't have a problem with cussing, you know.
Yeah.
And like I don't like no sailor stuff. Like, I don't like when people cuss like just to cuss, right?
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
the reason I'm okay with cussing is it's another way to describe the actual emotion you're feeling about certain things, right? So when you add in certain cuss words, it okay. Oh, now he dropped the
Ooh,
F bomb. Okay, now I know it's serious, right?
it's real, yeah. Emphasis.
Yeah. So my oldest, um, she been testing it out, and I don't be saying
Oh,
nothing. And it's just like but she's like every once in a while, she's not going overboard with it or whatever. And that's kind of like my thing. It's like, okay, you got the message I was trying to say. She only says it in certain instances, and it's just like again. That's so now it's like again, it's like a sense of freedom for her, so to speak. Because
yeah,
it's like
yeah. I'm growing up. I'm adult. I can say
yeah,
shit.
yeah, exactly. So,
All right, that wraps it up, man. I gotta roll. I got an airplane to catch,
I
man.
know, man.
I
All right,
appreciate you
well,
hopping on. If I can see you,
absolutely.
I'll come see you.
Yeah, we might be able to like just do a drive by or whatever. You're gonna be in my side of town. So all right, man.
All right, cool. See ya.
Peace.